Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today I'm going to put out episode 3 in a series called How Is It Crafted? This is going to look at items I've found within Path of Exile, either things I've created myself or that other people have submitted to me to discuss, and we're going to talk about how they were crafted and how you can go about replicating that for yourself. This is current as of patch 3.18 Sentinel League, and it uses Recombinators, which are probably not going to go core as they are now, so if you want to try and do this craft, this is the league to do it in. We're going to be looking at amulets that have 4 specific things. We'll get to what those are in a sec. But firstly, this was inspired by something a little bit different. I saw this posted to Reddit earlier today by the streamer Belton POE, and I'll put a link down to his post in the description below. Already wanted to discuss influence blocking and synthesized items, and Belton's post reminded me that I wanted to discuss this. Belton's amulet is particularly spectacular, just having that you can have an additional curse on it. Now, cold is not the only choice here. This video, just for consistency, will always use +1 cold skills, but you can use the exact same process for +1 chaos skills, or lightning skills, or cold skills, or fire skills, or physical skills. It doesn't matter. Prices will be different, however, for components of some of these crafts, depending on what you choose. So firstly, we want to ask what makes up this item. This item is good because it's got powerful synthesized implicits on it. These can be very, very good. 20% crit multi, and that scales up to 24 with catalysts. 1% damage per 15 of a specific stat. So one of those mods is 1% damage per 15 intelligence. That tends to be the best one, but you can get the same for dexterity and strength as well. You can get 10% mana reservation efficiency. You can get 20% increased effective determination on you. And you can have up to 3 of these synthesized implicits. You pretty much will never find 3 really good ones together, but you will sometimes, especially at a very high budget, be able to find 2 that are very good in conjunction with 1 that is sort of okay, like 11% lightning resist. Your next mod is +1 to the level of all skill gems. This is a prefix and it's very, very rare. Your next prefix is +1 to a single element of gems. And next you have high tier life. Now the budget versions will sometimes miss out on this mod. You also have the flexibility to improve suffixes. There was a lot of discussion in episodes 1 and 2 that covered prefix and suffix locking quite extensively and some of the shenanigans you can pull there. So I'm not going to go into that at all. I'm just going to refer people back to episodes 1 and 2 for more details on this step. Interestingly, the item level need only be 75 plus to roll all of these mods we've discussed. Now, this is going to be a trade-only craft. Sorry, solo self-found players. You might find 1 very nice synthesized amulet base, but you're not going to find 3 of them in a league. And this is a 1 in 3 chance to win at the final step of the craft. So for that reason, you are going to burn a bunch of really good synthesized amulet bases doing this. That's affordable in Trade League. It's not affordable in SSF because you just simply won't have more of them to use. Now, this is going to take advantage of influence blocking. Synthesized items cannot have or gain influence, nor can they have or gain influence-only modifiers. Extensive testing by the streamer Iron vs Wild has determined how these modifiers work with Recombinators. The game takes a 50-50 chance on the base first, and if it picks a non-influenced item base, such as a synthesized base, the end product won't have any influence mods. But those influence mods will count for the purposes of the game's calculations of how many mods to present to you on that item. And this means that every influence mod you can get on a donor item helps your chances overall, and by quite a bit at that. So we're going to prepare a non-synthesized item. We are going to make sure that we have a +2 amulet that is also going to have a Warlord prefix. It doesn't need to be Warlord. You can use a Redeemer Exalt, you can use a Hunter Exalt, you can use a Crusader Exalt. You should just use whichever Conqueror Exalted Orb is most accessible to you, which is normally going to be the cheapest one. So your starting point is going to be a +2 amulet with no other prefixes. This can be sourced from trade, and for a cold version, it'll cost you about 4.5 exalts at the time I'm making this video. Alternately, you can recombinate this yourself. We then wish to add an influence prefix. Now, if your item has 5 mods on it already, that will mean 2 prefixes and 3 suffixes. You can just apply an Elderslayer's Exalted Orb immediately. Just use whichever one's cheapest, you don't really care which one it is. Alternately, if the mod count is 4, you can apply a crafted mod onto the item that is a suffix, and then at that point when you apply an Elderslayer's Exalted Orb, then you will again hit a point where you've got 2 non-influence prefixes and 1 influence prefix. If your mod count is 2 or 3, which means that you've got only 0 or 1 suffixes on the item, this is just an undesirable base to use, and I would recommend that you source another base. You can fix that, but it's going to cost you a little bit. The easiest way to fix it is going to be through the use of crafting an aspect skill on the item, which is just going to fill up one of your suffixes that you need to fill up. At that point, you've got 4 mods on the item, and then you can put a bench craft on. But if you've only got the 2 prefixes, then it's going to be a real mess. You're going to have to exalt the item as well, either through the use of an exalted orb or a Leo slam or a mechanic like that. You'll hit a point where you've got 3 prefixes, +1, and an influence prefix. You don't have the life that you're going to want, and we're going to craft that on the other item. Our second step is going to differ depending on the budget that you've got. If your synthesized items are extremely good and extremely expensive and hard to replace, then you want to maximize your chance of winning for every synthesized item that you use. And that means spending a lot on rolling those synthesized items before you throw them into the Recombinator. Here, you're going to want to have 2 perfect mods as the only prefixes on your item before you attempt the Recombinator. This is going to be tier 1 life and +1 to the level of all cold spell skills. There's a job that you need to do with fossils, and the table that I've got here is from the website Path of Exile. You want to recheck this yourself at the time that you're going for it, but it shows that currently, the time I'm recording this video, the cheapest way to do this is by making a 1 in 624 chance by applying a 2-socket resonator that has a Frigid fossil and a Pristine fossil in it. This will have a 1 in 624 chance of giving you those 2 mods that you're looking for. Fossil prices are volatile low, and who knows, maybe tomorrow Etheric, Frigid, and Pristine, where it's only 1 in 519, or Frigid, Pristine, and Sanctified, where it's only 1 in 365, may end up being the better way to go. Now, if you hit life and +1 all skills, this is going to be something like 40 times as rare with this fossil combination. You do want to use that instead, but just expect that that won't happen. The budget alternative is to prepare the synthesized base differently, and this is what you should do on medium tier synth bases. You probably don't want to do this craft on dumpster tier ones. But medium and good synth bases use this. If you've got an extraordinary base, then use the higher budget approach. Here, all you want is a 1 prefix item with tier 1 life and a better synthesized implicit than you see down on this bottom item. So the way you're going to roll this is just by transmuting and alterationing your synthesized item until you have tier 1 life, or alternately, depending on prices, you could use Pristine fossils and annulment orbs. But at the time I'm recording this video, definitely alterations are the way to go. Suffixes or their absence aren't important, and the average cost of this step is going to be 140 alterations, plus, of course, your synthesized item. Now, in the budget version, you're going to recombinate here. Now, 50% of the time, you're going to get an influenced amulet and you're going to be sad. These results will be made worse, not better, by the fact that you did that conquer exalt step earlier. But the times that you don't do that, you have 4 total prefixes between your items. You're going to have tier 1 life on Death Pendant here, and then on Crafting Project here, you'll have +1 to level of all cold gems, +1 to the level of all skill gems, and the Warlord mod, which here was tier 3 area of effect. This means that the game considers 4 mods, but only 3 of them are actually valid to be on the final product. And when this happens, you've got a 35% chance to get all 3 of those, and you'll have a 55% chance to get 2 of them, 10% to get only 1. If you get 10%, then unfortunately you're going to end up with a rubbish final product. But if you get 2 of them, you'll have a good amulet. And if you get all 3 of them, you'll have something genuinely amazing. On the expensive version, here you have increased your odds somewhat by virtue of the fact that you have forced +1 to the level of cold skill gems on your synthesized item. Now, this was a long step. This took you an average of 600 2-socket resonators to get, so you would expect it to have better results, and it does. 50% of the time, you're going to get an influenced amulet. Those 50% of the times, you will be sad, especially because you will have destroyed your synthesized item, which had quite good mods on it. But the other 50% of the time, there are 5 total prefixes between your 2 items, and you have a 50% chance for the game to allocate you 3. If it does allocate you 3, you are absolutely guaranteed to get your tier 1 life, +1 cold skill gems, and +1 all skill gems. The other 50% of the time, you'll get 2 of these, which then lets you try again with a new +2 amulet and a new Conqueror's Exalted Orb. Now, suffixes are exactly the same as in episodes 1 and 2, so we're not going to go through this step. All you're going to do is craft prefixes can't be changed, and then use your choice of Harvest Reforge plus Crit, or Veiled Chaos Orbs, or whatever else you want, and keep doing this until you're satisfied with the result. There's nothing new to learn in this if you watch the earlier episodes in this series. If not, there'll be a link in the description, and that'll go through this step in some detail, although in that case you'll be using suffixes can't be changed in order to perfect prefixes on an item. And just remember, your item that you've got from this process is good. It merits Divine Orbs, Catalysts, Blessed Orbs, and a top tier anoint. That's all I got on this. May your Veil Orbs have interesting results, and if you want to submit an item to this series, then jump onto my Discord and I will be able to take that from you and put out a video on it.